Hi everyone, so welcome back to another video. Not sure this camera's even going to stay on here, but we'll just have to see. I'm currently just off into the drive-through of Tim Hortons for the first time in my entire life.
Hello, welcome to Tim's. What can I get for you?
Hi, can I have a tuna and cheese sandwich please?
As a meal or by itself?
A meal please.
What drink would you like today?
Can you do the lemonade, the frozen lemonade thing with that or not?
Frozen lemonade?
Yeah.
You mean a lemon cooler?
Yeah.
Sure, what size? Small, medium, large?
Medium please.
Anything else for you?
Yeah, can I have a kid's chicken strips please? And then can I also just have a 10 box of Timbits please?
Anything else for you?
That's it, thank you.
That is 1327. Just tap your card over there. And whenever you're ready.
Yeah, 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's gone through. You can collect your order next window.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you.
32 seconds.
Yeah, don't worry, thank you. Perfect, thank you. See you later. Right, so yeah, I've just got my Tim Hortons. It's the first time I've ever been in my life, but I thought I'd try it. Yes, they've actually put some dip in. I am absolutely buzzing about that. I was worried that they weren't going to put any sauce in. I was going to have to eat dry chips. I always wonder when you go through drive-thrus for the first time if people on the other end know that it's the first time you've ever been. Does anyone else ever think that? I feel like that was really obvious that it's the first time I've ever ordered food from there. So I'm going to answer some questions on third trimester parenthood Q&A. I didn't actually get loads, which I'm happy about, because sometimes you get too many and like I don't know which ones to choose. But I thought I would do it whilst eating some food from here because I've never had it before. So these are the chips. So I got the tuna melt, some chicken strips, which are like from the kids menu, because they just got 2. I didn't want too many. And yeah, I got the lettuce fries, and I got a frozen lemonade, and I got the mini donuts, Timbits. So that frozen lemonade is stunning.
Wow.
It's actually a really good menu. I know I'm like fully going off the parenthood Q&A here guys, but they do a bit of everything. Like they do a massive breakfast menu, they do like grilled sandwiches, they do burgers, wraps. The only thing is it's quite far from me. This is like a 25-30 minute drive. But yeah, I thought eating food from somewhere you've never eaten before, I always really enjoy watching people eat food that they've never eaten before. So before we dive in, I am just going to quickly try this tuna and cheese grilled sandwich. I think that's what they call it. Very American. It's absolutely boiling. Wow. I feel like I'm going to burn my mouth. It's got onion in it too. It's actually very nice. I didn't fancy a burger because I feel like I always get burgers from like fast food places. So that's how it looks inside. The only thing they didn't do is put any napkins in the car, but it's a good job I'm a mum and I've got baby wipes in my bag. So first question, did you put on more weight with first pregnancy or this one? So to be quite honest, I actually don't really know the answer to that. I put on more weight quicker with this one, but like now looking at myself, I don't think I look any different than when I was carrying Casper. I would just say that my bump was still a bit bigger with Casper, but I was carrying way more water. I did have polyhydramniosis with Casper, which is where you carry a lot of water. So yeah, because my bump was bigger, I obviously looked bigger. But I don't actually, I've not weighed myself for maybe 8 weeks. The last time I weighed myself, I'd put on about 10 kilos, which is about 2 stone, I think. So I'm not actually sure. But yeah, I don't actually know if I've put more weight on or not. I would say that I'm probably just as active. I've trained for longer this time. I stopped training at about 35, 36 weeks. With Casper, I stopped training at 20 weeks because of lockdown. But I was doing a lot more walking when I was pregnant with Casper than I am this time, just because obviously life's busy again. There's more things to be doing, whereas in lockdown I couldn't do anything else but really go out on a walk. So I don't really know if I'm fitter now. I was fitter then. But yeah, the answer to the question is I actually don't know if I've put more weight on this time or not. Next question. Has it been a strain on your relationship being pregnant and having a toddler? So I wouldn't say it's been a strain on the relationship at all. I'm very lucky in the fact, well, we're both very lucky in the fact that we are very close with each other. We just know that it's just a chapter of our lives that isn't going to last forever. Josh has a lot of patience with me. He's very understanding, very caring. I think he actually maybe did fall from heaven. But obviously the bedroom department isn't great. But again, he knows that, I know that. I know it's not forever. He knows it's not forever. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? It's like you're sacrificing a few things to gain an amazing thing. And then it's not forever. You still have that amazing thing, and then things that you've sacrificed come back. But it is hard work because, you know, I've got less patience than I did before because I'm pregnant and I've got Casper to look after. But Josh is very good. I just feel like even though it doesn't properly affect our relationship, well, it might affect our relationship, but it doesn't, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, we might have less time together. I might be less patient. We might not have sex as much, but I feel like it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't do anything to us as a couple, because we both know till death do us part, through sickness and through health, that we are there for each other. And it's just a small fraction of life that I guess we call life, because it's reproduction and that's just what happens. But yeah, I do feel very lucky to have the relationship that I have. He's very hands-on dad when he's at home. He obviously works a lot, but he also makes sure that, you know, we don't go without. And when he's at home, he tries his very best to be present, take Casper off my hands, give me time to myself. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's affected our relationship at all. So I do feel very, very lucky for that, to be honest. Is Casper excited? So he does always say baby sister, but obviously that's because we've said it to him. And if he walks into a room, he'll say baby sister's room. He made a little baby go to nursery the other day and kept telling me that it was baby sister's. But let's be honest, he's 2 years old. I really don't think he actually knows what that means. We set up the double pram last night, and obviously he was getting in it, and we were like, baby sister will be there, and he kept saying, yeah, baby sister. Then this morning he was like, baby sister's pram. I don't know if he's actually aware that that means a baby is going to be living in the house. So my answer is, I'm really not sure. Worst symptom of the 3rd trimester. So I wouldn't say that I get a lot of symptoms, to be fair. I don't get many symptoms in pregnancy anyway. I would just say the hormones. Like, my hormones are just horrendous. I just want to scream at the top of my lungs about 30 times a day. So yeah, I think it is actually hormones for me, personally. Maybe the discharge. I have a lot of discharge. Like, I have to wear a panty liner every single day without fail. If I didn't wear one, I would feel wet through. And also, the heartburn isn't great, but that does improve with time, because obviously the baby's dropping lower into the like pelvis. So then you do actually get some release from up here on your chest. So sort of 28 to 35 weeks, I would say that the heartburn is awful, but then it does improve. I've not had it for a week now, fingers crossed, touch wood. But yeah, I would actually just say my hormones. And with that coming, are you happy your pregnancy is nearly over? I honestly cannot wait for this pregnancy to be over. Obviously I'm very, very grateful that she is happy in there, but I have found this pregnancy so hard. I'm not even going to delve into it fully because I could actually just start crying thinking about it. But I just really don't enjoy being pregnant. And you know what? I really don't care that I've said that out loud, because I know how lucky I am to get pregnant. I know how lucky I am to carry babies. But it doesn't mean that I can't not enjoy it. I really just don't enjoy it. I don't feel like myself. I carry really big, so I'm just constantly like heavy, exhausted. I never know what to wear, nothing fits me. Like, I always think about I'm excited for pregnancy fashion, and then I get this big and I'm like, I'm really not excited at all because I've got nothing to wear. And then it's kind of at that stage where you don't want to buy maternity clothes at 35 weeks because you literally could have 2 or 3 weeks left to wear them. So it's just trying to use everything up in the wardrobe that I can that will fit me, which is literally like 2 pairs of leggings, 1 jumper and 1 t-shirt. So it's not that great. So yeah, I'm really excited for this pregnancy to be over. I'm 39 weeks and honestly I'm really tempted to ring the hospital today or tomorrow and book myself a C-section for next week. I just feel like if she's not come by that point, I just know that I'm going to be so fed up. So fed up. But if I don't book a section and I get to like 40 plus weeks and she's still not here, it's going to be harder for me to get a section in. And I say that because I had a previous C-section, so obviously I am a candidate for a section. If I ring up and say I really don't want to give birth, I've made the wrong decision, I want to book in for a C-section, I think they will. But my plan is to just try and let her come within that time. So if I book it for like, let's say 10 days time, I would like to think she'd come in that time, and if she doesn't, then I end up with a C-section. And you know what? It is what it is. Like, it's obviously just meant to be. So how's Casper been with you while pregnant? I found it really difficult. Some days he's been great. Most of the time he tries climbing all over me. He's very active. He jumps on me on the sofa. He says, jump on mummy, jump on mummy. He's not aware at all of my tummy. Like, he does touch it, but he also kicks it, he climbs on it. Like, he climbs on me, not aware that my tummy is massive and there's a baby in there. Like, I've found that bit really difficult because I just feel like he doesn't really, well, he doesn't really care. Like, he doesn't care that I've got a baby in my tummy, because I don't think he's actually fully registered that she is in my tummy. So yeah, I found it really difficult. I feel like he's been really challenging. I know that he knows something's going on. His sleep isn't great. He wakes up every night now in the middle of the night. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't have the early mornings he used to have. He usually wakes up between 6:30 and 7:30 now, whereas we had a lot of 5 AM starts for a long time. But he doesn't sleep through anymore. He literally is awake. Last night he was awake at 10:30. And Josh just took him into the spare room because we don't want him in our room, because when the baby comes, obviously he can't be in there. And I don't want him to feel pushed out, so he just needs to get used to the fact that he can't come into our room anymore, because we were getting quite slack and letting him come into our room and into our bed. But yeah, he's been very challenging. But you know what, he's quite challenging anyway, and it's awful for me to say, but he really is. He's just so strong-willed. He's so determined to do everything himself, so he just shouts. His speech is obviously very, very good, so he does speak to me like he's about 6 years old already. Like, shouts at me, tells me what he wants, tells me what he needs. Casper do it, Casper do it, Casper doing it. Like, everything is on his terms. And it's just so hard because obviously I don't want to give in, because I know that the older he gets, the more that things become on his terms, the worse he'll be. But I also don't want to be shouting all the time. Like, it's just so, and then throwing that pregnancy patience. Wow, it has been tough parenting my child, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm just gonna try some of these chicken tenders, which are on the kids menu, but I'm guessing they're the same as the adults. You just get 2 instead of 5. But yeah, they are just like the McDonald's ones, to be fair. Very nice. So, tips for surviving pregnancy with a 2-year-old. I really don't know if I'm the right person to be asking, because I feel like my 2-year-old, do you know what, it's so hard because every child is different, and I find this age really, really hard, but I know some people don't, because their child's really chilled out. They'll just sit and watch TV all day, they'll just sit on the floor and play on their own. That is not my child. So I find it difficult. Like, he doesn't let me do anything. I couldn't work from home with him around. He doesn't let me vac because he just wants to do it himself. He doesn't let me sweep at the floor because he wants to do it himself. He doesn't let me sit down on the sofa. He wants me in his playroom all the time, which is weird because he's very independent, but for some reason that playroom, mummy come in the playroom, mummy come in the playroom, and if I say no, he will literally scream at me and have a complete meltdown. But I would just say, one, take as much help from your partner as possible if the help is there, i.e. they're not working away. And if they're not that helpful, then tell them, just say, look, you really need to pull your finger out. I'm finding this really difficult. I need more help around the house. I need more help with this. You need to take the toddler away. Like, let's say on a weekend, you need to take the toddler away for a few hours so I can just be at home and just chill, or I can get stuff done, like clean the house. Like I say, I can't clean with Casper around at all. Like, physically impossible. Can't do it. 2, ask for help from friends and family. Again, if it's there. We are very lucky that both sets of parents look after Casper, either day or night for us, obviously as long as they're free and we give them time and notice. But yeah, just try and have as much help as possible without feeling guilty. And thirdly, coffee. Although I didn't like coffee until 20 weeks with this pregnancy. Fourthly, I don't really know. It literally is just a survival game. Every single day that you wake up, you're like, oh my god, how am I going to survive this day? But somehow you just do. So if you want to cry, just cry. If you want to lose your rag, lose your rag. Just apologise at the end of the day and say to your child that you are sorry for shouting, but mummy just gets cross sometimes. Mummy just gets pushed to the edge sometimes. As long as they go to bed knowing that you love them, and you've kissed them goodnight and you tell them that you love them, I'm sure they will forget that you've lost your rag sometimes and that you raised your voice and that you shouted. But there's nothing wrong with shouting at your child. We all try our best to follow this gentle parenting stuff, but it just sometimes doesn't happen. And you know what's really funny? This learner driver is pulling up next to me, and every time I film something like this, a learner driver pulls up next to me. I'm not even joking. I'm actually going to link the video where someone last did this. Luckily they've not come right forward, but this happens to me a lot. But yeah, surviving, it's hard, it's tough, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, I don't have many other things to say about that one. So, is it different or the same as third trimester with Casper? Again, very different. Very similar, but very different. So, actual pregnancy wise, I would say it's very similar. As in, I'm just heavy, I'm uncomfortable, like, I have nothing to wear, I'm fed up with being pregnant, just kind of want the baby out, a bit of heartburn here and there, but then, obviously, I've got a toddler to look after. So it's very, very different. There's no relaxing on the sofa. There's no just watching Netflix all day or having a really nice pamper night. Because by the time I've put my toddler to bed at 7, half 7, I can't be asked to give myself a pamper night. There's hardly any reading up on hypnobirthing, again, because I don't have time. I don't have time to just sit and read. When I was pregnant with Casper, 1, I didn't have a child, and 2, it was in lockdown, so there was nothing else to do. I couldn't go to work. So I was very into like self-care, hair masks, face masks, chilling out, candles on, reading books, Netflix, funny films. This time I just don't have the time for it. I feel like I could read a book, but by the time I've got Casper in bed, I've made myself tea, I've maybe had a shower, I've sorted out downstairs what needs doing. It could be 8 o'clock, it could be 7:30, and I don't want to read a book because then Josh is at home, and then if I was to read a book, that would mean that I wouldn't speak to Josh. So it's very different in that respect. I said this at the very beginning in the first trimester, and I say it now: no pregnancy will ever be the same as your first, ever. I just think like your first pregnancy is such a magical thing. Like, you don't know what's coming. It's your first ever baby. Like, you're just so excited to do the nursery and get stuff sorted, buy loads of clothes, obviously live in this baby bubble. But then the second time round, and I can imagine the third, the fourth, the fifth, if you're that crazy, it just gets harder and harder. You have less time to think about doing anything for the baby. You have less time to take pictures of your bump. You know what's coming, you know it's going to be difficult. You've got a child to look after who's probably been quite difficult. Decorating the nursery is not the same. Getting excited about buying clothes is not the same. I just think, like, I don't know, I just feel like your first pregnancy should be treasured with every inch of your life. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm obviously excited to have another baby, and when I sit and think about meeting her, like, obviously I get really excited, but I don't think anything will compare to that first pregnancy and the excitement that you feel in that first pregnancy, and every purchase you make just seems so exciting. Whereas this time I'm kind of a bit like, oh, I need that, I'll get that, or like, I need to order this, I'll order this. I don't know, very different. Right, only a few more questions, and I'm just going to try some of these Timbits because I've never had them before. So, did you have gestational diabetes this time round? Very funny while I'm about to tuck into this little box of donuts. But no, I didn't. I'm just going to take a picture of these. No, I do not have gestational diabetes this time round, thank goodness. I don't have as much fluid as what I had before. So I really do just think that for me it was a boy pregnancy that caused those things. As I've said before, diabetes can happen to anyone in pregnancy. It's all to do with the way that your hormones respond to like insulin. And obviously I had gestational diabetes and I had a lot of fluid. And I would say that I was healthier in Casper's pregnancy than this one. Because you know what? Again, I had more time. I had more time to eat well, to make good meals. I didn't need as much convenience food because I was on my own. I only had my own to think about. Whereas now, like with Casper, a lot of the food becomes like convenience food. This must be the apple cinnamon one. I think that's what it is. I saw it come from the screen and that was very nice. But no, luckily I don't have it. I say luckily, it wasn't horrendous last time, but obviously it was a lot to think about. I had to test my blood 4 times a day. It was the reason I got induced, and I wish I would have declined that induction. But again, when you're just so fed up and you're so close to the end, like, you would do anything. Whereas now, I do know that I will decline induction if I ever get offered it. I would rather just have the C-section, which is why I'm thinking about booking one. But I've had 2 glucose intolerance tests now. Obviously my midwife checks my urine and there's no sign of like glucose or anything in there, or is it ketones sometimes that show up. And then obviously my growth scans, like, everything's fine. She's not measuring like really big apparently, and also my fluid levels are fine, which is one other symptom of gestational diabetes, is having quite a lot of fluid. Although part of me is convinced I never had it last time because I didn't really have any symptoms. I was never like really thirsty, never had headache. But yeah, apparently I did have it, so it's just one of those things. But I do personally just think that everyone's body responds differently to every pregnancy, and I just think for me that boy pregnancy is what triggered my hormones to react like that. Last question about the actual trimester, and then I've just got some on exercises as well. So the last one is, how has your third trimester been so far? And I would say probably one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life, which sounds so dramatic, but it honestly is. Like, I've done a bodybuilding competition before and starved myself, and I feel like this is harder than that. Like, every day you just don't know what's going to get thrown at you. It's the anxiety of being pregnant, constant track of movements. Have they moved? Like, is she moving too much? Is she not moving enough? Loads of Braxton Hicks, thinking, oh my god, I'm going into labour. Then 5 hours later they just die off. It's just a massive anxiety ridden process. Then obviously teamed up with the fact that I'm massive and I don't really have anything to wear. I hate getting dressed. Turning over in bed is basically impossible. Looking after a child is hard work. Like, once I've sat on the floor to get him dressed, that's it, I can't really move. So if he runs off, it takes me a good 10 minutes to get him dressed. Just picking him up, doing stuff like that. So yeah, I have found it really tough, and like I've said, I just really want this baby out now. I'm just ready to meet her, and I honestly don't think that I'll do this again. Like, I think this is going to be my last pregnancy, because I just feel like Casper and this baby girl don't deserve me to be pregnant again. Which, again, that sounds really dramatic, but I just don't feel like me at all, and I just feel like other people around me don't get me. They don't get the me that I am, and it's just not fair. And it's hard work. I really don't think I could do this again. I think, like, pregnancy, everyone says it's 9 months. It's actually 10. It's basically a whole year, and it's a long time. I found out I was pregnant on the 10th of February, which means I was probably pregnant around the end of Jan, and it's now the middle of October. There's only 2 months left of the year. So I have literally been pregnant all year long. Literally all year. So yeah, I found it really tough. I only really like the second trimester in pregnancy. It's the only bit that I really enjoy. It's where you've got a bit more energy. You've got a bump to show off, but it's not that big, so you can dress it really nicely. You know, you're not that tired, you're not as irritable. But I would say that between like 32 and 37 weeks I found harder than now, because the end just seems so far away. But now I'm like 39 weeks, obviously I know that it could be any day now, and even if it's not any day now, it's going to be within the next 2 weeks, which is nothing really. So I just think that I do feel better now than I did a few weeks ago. Can you recommend any good easy exercises for while in the third trimester? So I think it depends on if you've exercised throughout your whole pregnancy or not, but really good exercises for helping a baby engage are squats. So obviously body weight squats, lunges. Lunges are really good for helping the baby engage. I'm actually going to go home and do some lunges after this. And then just walking in general, like, especially if you're not already training, I would just get out walking as much as you can. I know it gets difficult at this time of year because of the rain, but we've actually got a really glorious day today. There's not a cloud in the sky, like not even one single cloud. So yeah, my top one would be walking, because walking helps the baby engage as well, because like gravity is pulling them down. It's good for you, it keeps you fit and healthy, it's cardiovascular exercise. But squats and lunges are also really good for well, just strength in general, and also helping the baby engage into the pelvis more. I'm going to leave my third trimester Q&A there. There is some questions that were the same, so I've not answered them. Answered every question there was, which is good because I feel like I've been sat here forever. I actually have. I think I've been here nearly an hour. It's going to take me a while to edit this video, but hopefully I can get this edited and uploaded before the baby arrives. I'm actually really just hoping there's not many more videos after this without a baby, because honestly, just get this baby out of me, please. I can't even tell you how much I just want her out, but it is what it is. Like I say, I'm happy and grateful that she's happy in there, and as long as she's safe, that is all that matters. But as always, I answered with honesty and just really without even thinking about my answer. Like, I just answered how I would answer to a diary if I was to write it down on paper. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. If any of you are in your first, second, coming into your third trimester with a very active wild toddler, I promise you can survive. I promise you can get through it. The days are tough and long, but it's not forever. So the only thing that I'm holding on to is the fact that so many people have told me that pregnancy and a toddler is a lot worse than a baby and a toddler. And I do actually feel like that will be true for me, because I just don't like being pregnant. So I feel like if I'm not pregnant, even if it's tough, I don't think I'll find it as tough as being pregnant. But yeah, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, guys, and I will see you in my next video.